What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Fast. Today, let's get started with Belal Muhammad explains why he's surprised Ian Machado Garry is the backup fighter at UFC 315. Muhammad is set to defend his welterweight title for the first time against Della Maddalena on Saturday in the main event of UFC 315. After Garry beat Carlos Paredes, he revealed he'd be the backup fighter, which caught the champ by surprise. I had no knowledge, and even when he said it in the cage, I'm like, there's no way this guy is about to step up as the backup. He looked a little bit beat up, especially in that 5th round when he was crawling on the floor versus Carlos. He definitely took some damage. But is he going to make weight again? And is it really going to be worth it? Because I'm not pulling out, and I'm sure Jack's not pulling out coming all the way from Australia. So is it really worth it if you're going to make the weight? But he's trying, right? Especially in a division now where people are saying there isn't a clear #1 contender anymore. It is a fair point from Belal Muhammad that Ian Machado Garry did get hurt in that 5th round. He also wonders if it's worth it for Garry to cut weight twice in such a short period of time, as he believes that it will have a negative impact on his body. However, Garry is serving as the backup at UFC 315 in hopes of securing himself as the next contender and fighting the winner. Aljamain Sterling thinks Bo Nickal is too small for the UFC middleweight division. Sterling, who also comes from a wrestling background, noticed that Nickal was overpowered by De Ridder before he was folded from a body shot in round 2. Sterling thinks the standout wrestler needs to drop down to welterweight. I hate that I was right, but the size disparity for Nickal at 185 is very apparent. I wrestled 133, then 141. Somehow, I magically was able to make 135. Bonus a middleweight, but the top 15 middleweights are noticeably bigger than him in the cage. Even Brundage looked bigger. UFC analyst Alan Juban agreed with Sterling, and the former UFC bantamweight champion says Nickal needs to sit down with his American top team and seriously contemplate the potential move down. Anyone saying otherwise needs to really have their eyes checked. I'm a huge wrestling and Nickal fan, but that conversation needs to be had, and it's not an easy choice by any means. Former Jon Jones rival admits part of him wants to see Bones retire instead of fighting Tom Aspinall. UFC CEO Dana White has maintained optimism when it comes to booking a heavyweight title unification bout between Jones and Aspinall. Not everyone is convinced, as there still hasn't been an announcement. Aspinall has been the interim champion since November 2023, and he even successfully defended the gold against Curtis Blades. One UFC Hall of Famer, who knows Bones quite well, is torn on what he wants to see his ex-rival do next. Rashad Evans, who once shared the octagon with Jon Jones, has opined on Bones' possible next move. Here's the thing, I'm kind of torn about it. I feel like the part of me, the fan side of me, definitely wants to see it. I want to see it for sure. But the other part of me who's like very impressed with what Jon Jones is able to do, want to see him go out on top and not even have to fight again. Because there's the thing about it, there's always going to be somebody. He beats Tom Aspinall. People will say, yeah, there's this new guy. There's always going to be that last dragon to vanquish. Rumors have been swirling on Jones's status. Amid the gossip, Bones recently hinted on social media that he isn't done with prize fighting. Fans are hoping to have a clear answer on Jones's future soon, as the MMA legend turns 38 years old this July. Alexander Volkanovski outlines perfect world scenario for Ilia Topuria rematch. The rematch against Ilia Topuria remains a priority for Alexander Volkanovski, who recently reclaimed the featherweight title with a win over Diego Lopes at UFC 314. Although Topuria's move up to lightweight, after capturing and defending the featherweight title has made the rematch less likely, Volkanovski sees a feasible path to making it happen. The scenario in the perfect world would have been having that rematch to get the belt back, but that just wasn't the case. You've got to respect what he's doing, you know. He wants to chase the lightweight belt. Let him do it, and if we do it, maybe we do it at lightweight, double champ again. Imagine that, maybe when I defend again and if he was to win, and then we have a rematch at lightweight. Oh man, that doesn't get much bigger than that. That's perfect world for me. But again, a few things need to fall in place for that to happen. Topuria handed Volkanovski his first loss at featherweight, delivering a second-round knockout to capture the 145-pound title. The defeat marked Volkanovski's second consecutive knockout loss, raising questions about his competitive future. However, the featherweight legend turned the clock back and recaptured the title, becoming the first fighter over 35 years of age to win an undisputed title in the UFC's lower weight classes. Daniel Cormier warns Della Maddalena against one thing versus Muhammad. Cormier broke down the keys to victory for each fighter starting with the champion. He advises Muhammad to implement a similar game plan, as he did in his title-winning performance over Leon Edwards at UFC 304. If Belal Muhammad is going to be successful in his first title defense, he has to look and fight in the same way that he fought Leon Edwards. He's got to have a lot of pressure, he's got to secure takedowns, and he's got to keep Jack guessing, because if Jack Della Maddalena is able to just stand and strike with him, Belal is going to be out of his element. But when he mixes everything together, the wrestling, the takedowns, the striking, he can fight anyone, and he really can overwhelm you. That is why he knocked out Sean Brady, and that is why he truly outclassed Leon Edwards. So Belal Muhammad has to be that full mixed martial artist. And the pressure has got to be very present. As for Della Maddalena, Cormier worries after the Aussie was taken down 7 times in his come-from-behind finish of Gilbert Burns at UFC 299, and 3 times by debuting Basil Hafez in July 2023. For Della Maddalena, he's got to defend takedowns. And here's the deal. There was a fight that Jack Della fought in the Apex against Basil Hafez. The kid was taking him down, almost beat him on short notice thanks to takedowns. It can't look like that. He had to have a very good 3rd round to win that fight, because Hafez successfully took him down over and over again. That can't happen. If that starts to happen against the fighter at the level of Belal Muhammad, he's not getting the job done. He has got to stay upright, he's got to move on the outside, and he's got to pick at Belal Muhammad. Excitement in this fight for Della Maddalena will lead to problems. He's got to make sure he fights at his pace, his range, and really control the tempo of this fight. Din Thomas questions if ex-UFC champ Kamaru Usman has the knees to beat Joaquin Buckley. Din Thomas would like to see one of the all-time greats, Kamaru Usman, bounce back against Joaquin Buckley in the UFC on ESPN 69 main event, but he has his concerns. The former welterweight champion is on a 3-fight losing skid, albeit with 2 losses against Leon Edwards in title fights, and another against Khamzat Chimaev on short notice. I just don't know. For as much as I would like to see Kamaru go out there and do good things, I just don't know if he has the knees. I don't know if he has the knees to do it. Initially, when I first saw the matchup, I said, I like Kamaru in this. Then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, wait a minute, what am I saying to myself? Did I not see Joaquin Buckley do what he did to an aging Colby Covington? And Joaquin Buckley, he moves well. He's fast. Thomas said that while Usman can certainly win, he can't manufacture the type of drive that Buckley has as the younger and less decorated athlete. Ultimately, he anticipated that might make the difference. He's more than anything else, hungry for the opportunity. He's hungry to show what he can do. You've got a guy like Kamaru Usman, who is not really that hungry because he's already been fed. He's just trying to get seconds. He's older. I don't know. I'm hoping he can go out there and put on a good fight, but I don't now. I don't see it. Tom Aspinall provides update on his current plans. UFC interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall has provided an update on his current training schedule. The popular opinion is that Jones simply doesn't want to fight Tom, which is something that the light heavyweight GOAT has openly admitted in the past. In reality, though, it seems as if the UFC is locked in negotiations with Jones regarding the timeline for when it happens and how much he's going to get paid. Meanwhile, Aspinall is just trying to stay busy. He knows that he has to maintain his form in order to avoid getting rusty, even though it doesn't seem like there's any kind of imminent announcement coming. I'm just sparring to get better. I'm not sparring to prepare for a fight. So, it's really interesting for me that I don't have to work to a game plan in sparring. I can just practice my new techniques that I'm working on at the minute. Practice new little things that I'm working on. Whereas, if I'm in the build-up to a fight and I'm in a training camp, I'm just sparring for my opponent and what he does well. Right now, I'm not within a 12, 10, or 8-week training camp, so I'm just sparring, working on things that I want to work on, which is good.